It's too easy then.
Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm calling to order the Landmark Preservation Commission meeting of March 19, 2024. It is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The first thing that we always do is we introduce ourselves as a commission, and I'll go first. My name is Julie Johnson. I am a historic preservation project manager, and I was nominated by the community at large. Nick, can you lead?
Yeah, I'm Nick Fusianis. I'm an architect and a developer, and I was nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
Good afternoon, I'm Erin Hummel. I'm a landscape architect and I was nominated by the American Society of Landscape Architects.
I'm Ann Wattenberg. I'm an architect nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
Hello, I'm Gary Petrie. I'm an architect and I was nominated by the Denver Planning Board.
Oh, I'm George Dennis, retired law enforcement, nominated by History Colorado.
I'm Erica Warzel. I'm an architectural historian and preservation consultant nominated by the community at large.
And I'm Larry Sykes. I'm an architect nominated by History Colorado.
And I'm Brittany Bryant, Denver Landmark Preservation staff.
Thanks, everybody. Okay, first item on our agenda is the meeting records for approval of March 5th, 2024. Anybody have any comments, changes, additions, corrections? Doesn't look like it. Do I hear a motion from the floor?
I'm sure I move to recommend approval for the meeting records for March 5th, 2024.
Gary, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
George has seconded it. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, nay? Hearing no nays, we're approved unanimously. Thank you, staff, for doing the public or the meeting records. The first thing, just give you all a couple of tips for those of you joining us from virtual land. For better sound quality, we strongly encourage you to download Zoom on your desktop, laptop, tablet, or mobile device. You can click audio settings to bring up an additional menu, and then you can add a background noise suppression. Test your speaker and microphone. You can adjust their maximum output volumes. For presenters or public commenters, when it is your turn to speak, to mute or unmute, you can click on the microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Expanding the menu next to the microphone will reveal additional options. You can select your speaker and microphone devices. You can test your microphone and speakers, adjust their maximum output volumes. And if you still have audio challenges, you can switch to your phone for audio. That'll work too. All right. One of the first things that we do at the beginning of a meeting is a public comment period. We have reserved this time for members of the public to have up to 2 minutes each for comments about historic preservation in general, not to include comments associated with any specific projects that we'll see and hear later in the meeting. It's just historic preservation in Denver in general. To speak, those of you joining us virtually, to speak, you can click the hand raise button in Zoom or dial *9 on your keypad to raise your hand if joining by phone, or you can email landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number if you're having difficulty with either hand raise option. So first, anybody here would like to make a public comment, historic preservation in general, not on a project? Nope. Okay, awesome. Anybody in virtual world that would like to make a general comment? Doesn't look like it. Okay, great. All right, thank you very much. So normally we would go to the consent agenda, but we are moving the one item from the consent agenda. I still have to read the process. Okay, sorry. Okay, the consent agenda is routine design review items recommended for commission approval without discussion. Applicants with items passed on the consent agenda should coordinate separately with their landmark preservation staff to receive a certificate of appropriateness. There is no public comment for consent agenda items. I will announce the consent agenda by address. I will ask the commissions if they have a desire to remove the item or items from the consent agenda. Also, I will ask commission members to announce ex parte or conflicts of interest on any item. The commission would make a motion and vote. All right, so having said that.
So just for the applicant for 3255 Newton Street, we are removing this from the consent agenda for clarity in the motion relating to the motion, the way the commission makes the motions for administrative adjustments. As we've had additional clarification on that since I wrote the staff report. So that all makes sense. We'll move into the.
Yeah,
item.
so yeah, without further ado, so the first item that we will be talking about is 2023-COA-401 at 3255 Newton Street in Packards Hill, and Brittany is a staff person.
So can we go over the design?
The design review process. I'm sorry, guys. The chair will announce the design review items on the agenda in order by address. Commission members announce ex parte contacts and conflicts of interest. The staff will introduce the application and recommendation. Commissioners can question staff. The applicant presentation is limited to 10 minutes. Commissioners can question the applicant. Public comment period would be 2 minutes per person. And if you would like to speak regarding a specific project and you are not part of that applicant team, please click the hand raise button. For those calling via phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. If you are having difficulty with either hand raise option, email landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number. The staff can clarify if necessary. We'll take a motion and the commission will deliberate, the commission will make a motion and vote. All right, so we do begin then with 2023-COA-401 at 3255 Newton Street in Packards Hill.
So our first project on the agenda today is for an administrative adjustment at 3255 Newton Street. This is an accessory dwelling unit that the commission has reviewed and approved. This came before the commission several times to work out an appropriate design for an accessory dwelling unit at this site. Following commission approval, the applicant did submit for zoning and building review. And while eaves are allowed to encroach into the bulk plane, 1.05 square feet of this roof structure also is encroaching into the bulk plane. So the applicant needs an administrative adjustment for that 1.05% encroachment into the bulk plane that you see here on the screen. So staff are supportive of that administrative adjustment request as the project has been placed on the lot to be closer to the north side of the property line, which is where it's creating that encroachment to be placed totally behind the primary structure. As you can see here in the site plan, there is a exterior stair on the south side that does stick out a little bit on the south, but the primary building massing is totally behind the primary structure. So staff are recommending that the commission find this administrative adjustment appropriate, and per conversations with the city attorney's office, the zoning administration team, we have determined that this is the appropriate motion that the commission should be making on administrative adjustments. And therefore we have pulled this item off of consent just to clarify this motion and use this verbiage here.
Okay. Is commissioners, any questions for staff? Larry?
Yeah, when we use this language, that's prior to, well, I guess this, in this case, it's only related to this, but when we do future administrative adjustments, that happens prior to then the, I move to approve such and such actual design.
So for any administrative adjustments that we have in the future, we'll be using very similar language to is on the screen. We will also be clearly stating for the future when you do not find the administrative adjustment appropriate for clarification for zoning. So there will be some slight changes to some of the motions that you see in the future when an applicant is requesting administrative adjustments per request from the city attorney's office, and also zoning administration, who does grant those, or officially processes and grants those administrative adjustments per you as the approving authority, whether or not you find them appropriate or not. Does that clarify?
Yes, thank you.
Erica, I have a question. So this you know, when we have made motions in the past, we say, I move to.
Mhm.
What are we are not saying I move at
You
all?
are not. It's this motion on the screen that says hereby finds per Denver zoning code section 12.4.5.b, which is the historic hardship that conforming with the zoning code, which for this particular AA is for height and bulk plane, would have an adverse impact.
So then
It's
do
just a
I-
little weird because we're making a motion.
But you're not
it's
making a motion,
we're-
yeah.
Are we not making a motion?
You are making a motion for this verbiage here.
Okay.
And it's still seconded?
Yes.
So it is still, I move
That's what I
that
meant.
to the landmark,
sorry,
yeah.
yeah, it's clear.
Okay.
So the application number and address and all that has to be.
Yeah, that also needs to be.
Sorry, I typed this up like 2
That's okay.
seconds
No,
before the
yeah,
meeting started.
Fine. Yeah,
Okay.
And then we do need
yeah, that's kind of just, if they would like to do so. All right. So Taylor, is our applicant, if it's the applicant there and would they, if the applicant's not here, I assume
he is virtual.
he's virtual, who is it?
Will Schrader.
Okay. Hi, Will. Hello, Will.
A while for them to move over.
Hi, Will. Hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Hi. It's going. You've got 10 minutes to give your presentation if you'd like to give one. And Brittany will keep track of the time.
And again, we only pulled this off for clarity for the motion, but you're more than welcome to use the full 10 minutes.
However you wish, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think Brittany pretty much summed it up. It's just such a small part of the roof structure that's actually encroaching. Some people even think that that's just the eave, but just because it is exactly where Landmark has asked for it to be, and we've gone through so many reviews, I think that it kind of, you know, that's why we made that decision, and it seems to be such a small encroachment that hopefully with you guys' help we can just push forward. Yeah, I think Brittany kind of summed it up.
Okay, well, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant? Okay, well, there aren't any questions. Then, public comment.
Awesome.
Then
Thank you,
we will
guys.
check to, yeah, thanks very much, Will. So we'll check to see anybody from the public want to comment on this project. Is there anyone virtually that would like to comment? Any hand raised? Doesn't look like it. Okay, great. All right, then let's go into deliberation, commissioners. No issue. Okay, all right. Do I hear a motion?
Can we move back to the motion?
Can we move back to,
slide?
the yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, I will give this a try.
Thanks, Erica.
I move that the Landmark Preservation Commission hereby find per Denver zoning code section 12.4.5.b for the application number 2023 COA-401 at 3225 Newton Street, that conforming with the zoning standards for height and bulk plane would have an adverse impact upon the historic character of the Packards Hill Historic District.
Thank you, Erica. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Pause, please. So I need a friendly amendment for the address to be 3255 Newton Street. And that's my apologies for a typo on the,
Do I hear a friendly amendment?
I can't make the.
I'll make a friendly amendment to change the address to 3255 Newton Street.
Larry, thank you, Erica. Do you accept the friendly? All right, now do I hear a second?
I seconded it.
Gary seconded it. Did you
Yes,
accept the
yeah,
friendly
yeah.
amendment? Okay, all right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right. It has passed, yay. So we are on
Thank
to,
you so much.
no worries, it's okay, sorry about that, everybody. All right, so let's get on to our next design review project, which is 2023 COA 518 at 590 Downing Street in the Alamo Placida District, and Brittany Bryant is our staff person.
So our second project of the day is for alterations and addition to the Esquire Theater, which is in the Alamo Placita Historic District. This building is considered non-contributing per the designating ordinance for the Alamo Placita Historic District. However, it was intentionally included into the district boundary for the district when the district was designated. So here on the screen, you can see the front facade, which fronts onto Downing Street. This is a corner property on the corner of Downing and 6th Avenue. Again, it is in Alamo Placita, but across the alley is the Driving Park Historic District, and across East 7th Avenue is the East 7th Avenue Historic District. So you can see that this property is firmly surrounded by historic districts. So the project proposal before you today is for an addition onto the south elevation of the existing structure. And to the south is a existing parking lot, which is part of this parcel. There are minor improvements proposed for the existing parking lot, which includes some restriping, some sidewalls, and a trash enclosure here. But this is all a new addition that you're seeing here on the south elevation. The building is currently used as a theater and will be altered into an office on the second floor and mixed use on the ground floor that at this time is kind of proposed to be restaurant spaces for 2 different tenants. Along 6th Avenue, the applicant is proposing to introduce a new entry into the facade. And this is a recessed entry due to the finished floor elevation and floodplain. So this was required to be inset into the building facade to introduce a new door on this elevation. On the second floor, again, the addition is primarily a second floor addition and is open on the ground floor. And there will be, again, office spaces, elevators, and stairs in this addition, but otherwise minimal changes to the second floor. And then on the roof, the applicant is proposing to introduce some new skylights, as you can see in the roof plan. This is a barrel vault roof existing. So here are the Downing Street elevations and the 6th Avenue proposed elevations. So this building was originally constructed in the 1920s and opened as the Hiawatha Theater. In 1965, it was significantly altered by Denver architect Richard Crowther. Richard Crowther is known for his passive solar design architecture, his work at Lakeside, which includes signage, and then also his theater architecture in Denver. He worked on a number of theaters in Denver for Cinerama, principally the Cooper Theater, which was where the Barnes and Noble on Colorado Boulevard is now. He did a pretty innovative theater design, round theaters with raised seats and minimal kind of architectural elaboration on the exterior. The Esquire Theater does exhibit some of Crowther's architectural aesthetics, principally with the signage and the building materials that are used on the renovations that occurred to the Hiawatha Theater, which was primarily a brick building. There is a picture of the Hiawatha Theater in your application packet if you want to look at it. But these alterations were from 1965. So they do post-date the period of significance for the Alamo Placita Historic District. But again, Richard Crowther is a well-known Denver architect. So the proposed alterations to the building include new openings along the north elevation, which is the 6th Avenue elevation, and the applicant is proposing to introduce new window openings on this elevation to activate the interior space. There is a historic sign on this elevation that will be retained as part of this project. Staff has worked significantly with the applicant to propose openings that do respect the architecture of Richard Crowther and retain the existing building materials. So on the ground floor, you have kind of vertical ribbon fluted masonry, and on the second floor it's stucco, and those materials will be retained. They will be repainted as part of this project, but they are already painted. And then on the Downing Street elevation, the changes to the ground floor are very minimal. The existing storefront will be replaced, and then the existing windows on the ground floor will also be replaced, but there will be no changes to the opening proportions there. And those ground floor materials will be retained as well as the existing signage and marquee signage. The existing signage will kind of serve as a balcony screening for a new balcony that is proposed just behind the Esquire sign. And then new window openings will also be introduced on the second floor of the Downing Street elevation, as you can see in this proposed elevation here. There is a small railing detailed just behind the Esquire sign. It's a little difficult to see due to the signage that is there, but you can kind of see it peeking over, and that is a steel railing. And then on the south elevation, again, an addition will be added to that facade. The addition is set back from the existing building to preserve the existing building massing. But it is a glass addition that is proposed on that south elevation with some brick detailing that is proposed. And then here you can also see that brick site wall that is proposed for the parking lot. That will be an exposed red brick. So here is the south elevation. Demolition on the south elevation is pretty minimal, mainly at the second floor to create connection between the new addition and the existing structure. And then at the ground floor to introduce some new openings for those new uses at the ground floor. Although it is difficult to tell in elevation, this portion of the addition on the ground floor does not actually touch the existing structure, so that is kind of freestanding. And the addition is primarily integrated with the existing building at the second floor, and then here at the rear with this emergency stair. So this addition is clad in metal with a faux wood soffit detail to kind of harken back to mid-century architecture with overhanging eaves and that are horizontal in nature and pilotis that support this addition. And then to help define the space between the ground floor that will now be activated in the parking lot, the applicant is proposing some metal planters there. And then on the rear of the building, some new openings are also proposed. They match the proportions of the new openings proposed on the 6th Avenue elevation and the Downing Street elevation. Here you can really see that barrel vault roof and how those skylights will integrate with that barrel vault roof. And then also that addition that is proposed. Again, this is primarily service area here at the rear of the addition. So it is clad in brick here at the rear and is mostly stairs. And then you can also see that trash enclosure, which is red brick. So currently the building facade that is stucco here, where the applicant is showing that stucco to be retained. And then the building, it is difficult to tell in existing pictures, but the building does transition into brick. That brick is currently painted and it's unclear to staff if that paint will be removed, and the new proposed red brick is intended to match this existing brick. But currently staff do have some concerns over the red brick color integrating with the rest of the building architecture. And the red brick may be appropriate if the plan is to clean the paint off of this existing brick here and restore it back. And it is also a red color that matches that. So staff are asking for additional clarification in the application materials on that particular scope, just to confirm that the new brick proposed for the addition, which again is primarily here at this this service area, does match that existing brick on this elevation. So in terms of the architectural details, again, you can see these planters. These are metal planters that will help define the parking lot and the south elevation space and create a kind of walkway corridor for there. This is a wood like metal treatment that will be used in the soffit of the addition. This is the proposed new red brick, again, asking for confirmation that that matches the existing materials. And then some of the existing masonry will be repainted. These colors that you see here, so the fluted vertical materials will be painted this dark gray, and the existing stucco will be painted this lighter white color. The applicant has included materials on details on the material lighting here, and they all appear appropriate to be downlighting, but where these fixtures are specifically located on the building is not clear to staff, so we are asking for additional clarification on that. And then in terms of the addition construction, generally speaking, it is shown as a standard brick, as you can see in these sections here. However, on the building parapet, which are these sections 9 and 8, a thin brick material is shown, and we don't typically allow a thin brick material. So we are requiring that it be a standard brick used throughout this project. These two sections are just at the parapet, so you may not be able to see this thin brick, but we do have concerns over that creating a precedent, as we don't typically allow that. And here is that guardrail detail that is located just behind the Esquire sign on Downing Street. It is concealed on the south elevation by an existing marquee sign, which you are seeing here. So this is a steel railing, but it will have very limited visibility from the public right of way. In terms of the new windows and storefronts, they are all anodized aluminum in a dark bronze color, and then they are intended to have metal panels between the ribbon-like windows to kind of create a more ribbon window appearance versus a punch window appearance, based on researching Crowther's architectural aesthetic and how he used ribbon windows. And that is going to be a white color to kind of match the new stucco color that will be repainted there. So here are some renderings of the proposed alterations to the Esquire Theater. Again, this is the 6th Avenue facade. You can see that recessed entry that is required by other city agencies to meet the finished floor when introducing a door onto this elevation. Those windows, which are generally considered punch windows, but have that appearance of a more ribbon-like window with that metal panel detail between the two. And then again, the applicant based that on the architecture of Crowther. New openings along 6th Ave, and then the new openings along the Downing Street elevation, which again, there will be a balcony behind this Esquire sign, but the existing historic signage for Esquire and the marquee signs are to be preserved as part of this project. And then here we have kind of the view from the south elevation. So again, you can see the stucco does turn the corner here on the south elevation. And currently, this is the demarcation line for where the building does transition back to brick. And historically, it was constructed of brick. And it does appear to be a red brick, but it is currently painted. So it's unclear to staff if this is to be cleaned. And the new brick that is to be used in the site walls and for this stairway addition and the section here is intended to match that clean brick. So generally, staff are supportive of these alterations that are proposed for the Esquire Theater. Although this is a non-contributing building, staff did work with the applicant significantly to respect the existing massing of the building. The addition was initially proposed to wrap the corner on the south elevation and onto the Downing Street facade, and has worked with the applicant to preserve as much of the historic marquee signs as possible. And the applicant has always intended to preserve the Esquire signs, but it was really important to us that this marquee sign here stay and this marquee sign here as well stay. And then also looking very carefully at the new openings that were proposed for the building and making sure that they don't negatively impact the surrounding historic context, but also respect the architecture of this building. which is a little bit later than most of the buildings within the Alamo Placita Historic District, which are primarily residential and don't come up to mid-century modern in terms of what is considered contributing, but also respect the small scale commercial that you do see along 6th Avenue, both in Alamo Placita, East 7th Avenue, and the Driving Park Historic District. And then finally, I do have a 3-dimensional model for this. This was posted to the website, so I'll just play this really quickly because I do think it helps with the understanding of, and let me get it on the right screen, of how the addition kind of correlates with the existing structure. So here you can really see that that addition is not touching the existing building on the ground floor, and that preservation of the existing materials, principally that vertically fluted masonry on the ground floor, and then that stucco on the 2nd floor. So following the staff report, I did receive a letter of support from this project, and I did forward that to the commission. And I also did receive a letter of support from the Alamo Placita Registered Neighborhood Organization on this project. Unfortunately, I received that at 6 p.m. yesterday evening, and per our public policy comment period, I'm not allowed to forward that to the commission, but I do want to make the commission aware that we did receive that letter from the Alamo Placita neighborhood as well in support of this project.
Commissioners, any questions for staff? Doesn't look like it. All right, is our applicant here in person?
We are.
Okay, great. If you'd like to come up here.
Okay.
And you will have 10 minutes to give your presentation, and Brittany will help you set up. We'll time you
Public
to.
comment will be after that.
Correct, thank
Do we need, can we plug in a computer or?
Hey Taylor, this isn't on. So we don't usually allow a plug-in with computer.
We'll use your graphics if you could probably.
Yeah. We do that so the public can see that are attending virtually.
Okay.
Yeah, my name's Sam Ledger. I'm one of the property owners.
If you could just wait one
Yeah,
second while we
No
get
problem.
once we get set up, yeah. Yeah, we'll also need your address as well for our records when we get this set up.
Well, for a little color, the last time I was here, we had no technology. I'm not even sure what the room was, but we had boards at that time. So
Oh, yeah.
getting ready for today's presentation, I had no idea what to bring.
Yeah, I remember
Didn't know how
boards,
to-
yeah.
So, as a computer, it sounds like, but they're the same graphics.
Yeah, you know, COVID did all sorts of things to our technology.
And Brittany, you did a wonderful job
Thank you.
with this, so just use your graphics.
They're technically yours.
Well,
I mean, you're creative.
our graphics.
And then the commission does have your full packet, so if you like want to reference pages, I can always find them there. Their materials.
Okay.
And I forgot to mention, the project coordinator for this site is also here today. If you have any questions for Jennifer, the project coordinator for the site relating to like general development that is outside of the landmark review.
And as we're waiting, we've been working with Jennifer and Brittany, and the process, in my mind, has been going very well. With Jennifer being, her title is the adaptive reuse facilitator or
is, yeah.
project coordinator for the city of Denver, so
Oh, that's right, that's a new position.
Yeah, we've enjoyed that process with the Esquire buildings.
So Jenny Bundaberg used to be that person when
Oh,
she left us.
she left us.
Then she left us again. But Jennifer.
How many times does Jenny get to leave us before we just tell her no?
Their apologies.
Yeah, it's gremlins. It's clearly the only explanation.
I'm gonna
Good.
start the
Good.
time and you
Okay.
can go ahead.
We'll start the time, then you can start with your name and address.
Oh. My name is Sam Ledger. I'm the property owner. My address is 400 South Broadway, Denver 80209. We're excited for this project. Quick history, and then I'll let Michael get to what we're doing. The Landmark Theaters, which is the name of the actual tenant on the premises for a number of years, has decided to cease operations. When they notified us that was their plan, our first thought was, what do we do with this building? After looking into possibly re-tenanting it to another theater, this theater has 2 screens, which is apparently just not a feasible economic way to make movies anymore and watch movies. So after talking to several theater operators, we realized that was just not going to happen. So we didn't want the building to sit vacant very long. So we started the process with Brittany and Jennifer to figure out what we can and we're able to do with this building. And like Michael said, it's been a fairly cooperative process. We're very happy with everybody involved to get us to where we're at now. The building is in the floodplain. We had floodplain issues we had to deal with new openings. We wanted to respect and honor the theater, the signs, the Esquire, the memories that people have of this building. And we met with some help, met with all of these neighborhood organizations and RNOs, and the feedback we got for the most part was this building is just not helping the community. There's blank walls on 6th Avenue, and they wanted to see something get revitalized with this building. And that's the direction we went with this. And Michael, his work has been great. We, lots of iterations and back and forth with Landmark to try to make everybody happy. And I think where we're at now is drastically better than where we started. And so we're appreciative of that. One thing I'll point out, while we're improving a bunch of things on the right of way and landscaping, we do have the parking lot that on the south side of the building that we are keeping. The addition of this is not going to subtract from any parking spaces. So we're keeping the same number of parking spaces that are currently on site, which the neighborhood love. And that's about all I have. I'll let Michael jump into some of the specifics.
Yep. Brittany, if you can go to the 6th Avenue, I just want to hit a little bit about landscaping and the city requirement for additional landscape planters. So you could see those new planters on 6th Avenue are really, again, to introduce landscaping, but they are also introduced to protect the pedestrian from the vehicles on 6th Avenue. And as Sam said, we've worked with the city. We also wanted to increase the transparency along 6th Avenue to kind of vitalize that stretch of the corner there. So you could see how on the first floor, there's a lot more windows, again, to increase the vibrancy along that stretch of road. So by introducing the planters and the new windows and recessing the entrance because of storm water management criteria, that's how the design came. And then on the upper third, we wanted to really maintain that stucco cap and introduce a ribbon window system, kind of very similar to modern architecture and some of Richard's original residential works. Now to get back to the concerns that Brittany had, if we'll go back to the other rendering. The existing brick is painted right now. So you can see the red brick that we're proposed looks like exposed brick. And we intend to sandblast and see what the condition of that brick is. We want to bring back the historic brick on the south and the east side. And then match any new site walls, the stair corridor and the elevator corridor with a similar brick color if we can get the paint off and we don't destroy the existing brick. So sometimes when you, as you guys would know, when you sandblast old brick, it falls apart. So if that happens, then we will paint over the existing brick. In terms of the lighting that we're proposing, you know, we're on the 6th Avenue property line. So we can't introduce any, at least I don't think we can, but what we're proposing is a very minimalistic approach to lighting. So on 6th Avenue, where we recess that entrance, we'll have a couple recessed cans to kind of have the entrance glow. And of course, with the new storefront windows, the space will glow during occupancy hours. And then on the south facade, we intend to have, again, recessed cans, both in the upper soffits and the lower soffits to kind of light the outdoor areas. And then the sconces that are in your packets would just be over any south entrances to meet code. And then the recessed landscape lightings would be in the new planters. So again, a very minimalistic approach to the appearance of the light because we want to recess everything. We want basically the structure on the south side to glow and express the structure. And then I think the other comment was the thin brick. And the thin brick, you can't see it here, but if you were a bird, the thin brick is above the parapet, above the new addition. So we struggled on what that material, well, we did struggle on what it wanted to be because we wanted it to be brick, but we struggled with the weight. And we didn't want to overload the existing building with additional thick brick or normal size brick. So what we were proposing is thin brick just to keep the weight down on the existing structure. But we'll talk to the structural engineer and we'll get thick brick if we can get up there. And if we can't, we might have to change the material just to a lighter. But you'll never see it because we're not birds and we're at 6 feet or in my case, 4'9". So you'll never see that parapet. But what we wanted to do is basically that material extend above the existing brick and match that material without overloading the existing structure. That's all we have.
Okay, great. Can I get your name and?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Michael Noda with Neo Studio, 3560 Walnut Street, Denver, Colorado.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for our applicants? Larry?
Yeah, that parapet that you're proposing the thin brick for, it looks like on section 5 on LM-8, that's maybe 3 or 4 feet tall, is that correct?
Probably 4 to 5 feet tall above the existing, because the barrel vault sits on the masonry wall on that south side.
Got it. And the existing structure that would attach to is wood framed above the barrel vault level?
Barrel vault is probably wood frame. The barrel vault we suspect is potentially a steel vault with structure above it. So we'd probably sit this wood parapet on top of it. And we didn't want to introduce brick on top of a existing bowstring truss.
I see, so the new parapet wall, or the parapet wall structure is new on top of
Yes,
the,
and it really is only there to continue the existing stucco parapet.
That wraps around the front of the building.
Yeah.
The guardrail on the balcony that faces west behind the Esquire sign. Was any thought given to making that glass in lieu of metal? And the reason I ask is because I generally agree with staff and that it's not in conflict with the sign, given how far it sits back from the sign and how, we're lower than it is at street level. But the renderings sort of say the opposite. And show me that it does conflict a little bit. I think it would bother, take away from that sign and its importance from the street. And then just a friendly comment, it might also from the interior of the building, as you're experiencing, you want to feel that sign. I think it's a benefit to the occupant within, so glass would avoid that. So that's a friendly comment. The second one, the first one is a comment related to the guidelines as they apply to preserving that sign.
I think it's a great idea. So I think we could definitely do that. And again, if from both aspects. So I think consider that something that we will incorporate into the final design. And the question is does it have a metal cap or is it just glass to 42 inches?
Yeah, that's completely up to you, my preference, but it's subjective. Would be that it'd be entirely gone.
Okay.
And cantilever supported. But it's a deep, and I could be convinced otherwise by my peers.
Any other questions? You can have a seat.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much. Yeah. All right. So now we are moving into the public comment period of the design review process. So we'll take public comments from you all that are here in person first, and then oh, Taylor, can you?
I'm so sorry.
I don't have it, believe it or not, I don't have it memorized yet. Public comments for the design to speak. If you're joining us virtually, those of you, you can here in person can speak. But if you're joining us virtually, you can click the hand raise button in Zoom, dial *9 on your keypad to raise your hand if you're joining by phone, or you can email landmark@denvergov.org with your name and phone number if you're having difficulty with either hand raise option. And you will have up to 2 minutes to provide your comment. And so I know you would like to give a comment. Yeah, you want to come up here? Over here. And you can have a seat. And
Do I sit in front of the screen?
you can if you wish. Yeah. And then make sure you give us your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes to make a comment. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for allowing me. My name is Chris Citron. I live at 373 Marion Street, so I'm 2 blocks from the Esquire. I've been there for a long time. I have no financial involvement. I'm a member of the Alamo Placida Neighborhood Group. I was on the board of China Capital Hill United Neighborhoods for 14 years. I was on the board of Denver Foundation for Architecture. I was on the founding board of Colorado Preservation Inc. So I have decades of involvement in historic preservation. I'm saying that only because this is the first time I'm learning about these plans, and I am appalled. And there was some sort of private meeting, intentionally non-public. I don't know who made that decision, with Alamo Placida people and the developer. The public was not informed or told. I still don't know about it. And then there were other meetings since then. I'm very distressed by that. And that seems to me a very irregular process. And so I'm here to talk process and community input, which is my passion, and with my involvement with preservation in real estate for years, for decades. So I think there's some highly irregular stuff that's happened. And I mean, I guess also hearing today, I appreciate Brittany's narrative and explanation of all this. But she's pointed out things that need clarification. I mean, I'm here to say, but I want to say a little more, but my recommendation is that you not take any action on this today, that you table it or whatever procedural thing to go back and find out more stuff. But the community, the neighbors do not know about this.
I'm sorry, your 2 minutes is up.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
I do have more to say, and I'm very distressed and disturbed that this has come to this point without city, neighborhood input.
Thank you. Commissioner Gill? Yep, name and address in 2 minutes.
Sounds good.
Yep, and we'll have the timer up here soon.
Sorry, my cane's, I'm gonna get it in a little position.
You're fine.
All right, hi, my name is Julie Harston. My address is 10177 Tall Oak Street, Parker, Colorado. I am speaking on behalf of community members concerned about the future of the Esquire Theater located at 590 North Downing. I made a public comment at City Council on December 15th, 2023 with you guys. On behalf of concerned community members. I've been in contact with City Council members since November of 2023. After my public comment, I was contacted by Brittany Bryant, and she put me into contact with Becca Deershow. Both Brittany and Becca encouraged submission of a landmark designation application. Over the following months, me and a team of impassioned community members who hope to keep the Esquire Theater a running movie theater, including a group of Arapahoe High School seniors who have had a meeting with Becca as recently as March 12th, have been collecting research and working hard on the landmark application. We have collaborated with several local artists and businesses to raise money for that $875 application fee. And we'll have that money raised by the end of this month. I am confused as to why contact with City Council began with really helpful helping us facilitate the landmark application, providing resources, which was much appreciated. Now to that, me and my team not being told of this meeting today, I found out about this meeting like a couple hours very, very recently. Being shut out of issues of substance, it seems highly irregular to me that the city has made the decision to shut community members out of this process. Thank you.
Anybody else in person wish to make a comment? Okay, nobody here in person wishes to make a comment. Anyone in joining us virtually? I have one. Okay. No. All right.
So
Mr.
Joseph, you should be able to unmute yourself, and you can also turn on your camera if you like.
Hi there.
Hi,
Hi, yeah, so you can hear us and we can hear you?
excellent.
Excellent.
It's always nice when technology works.
Funny, yeah, you think after all these years, we've been doing this way, we figured it out, but start your 2 minutes, please, with your name and address, and we'll keep track of the time for you.
Thank you. My name is Joe Halpern. I live at 519 Ogden Street in the Alamo Placida Historic District. Have lived there for 43 years. I was one of the leaders of the effort to secure historic district designation for Alamo Placida, which was a 9-year effort. And the Esquire Theater was a topic of discussion at that time because the then owner wanted to exclude the footprint of the property completely from the historic district, since the building, by all consensus, was a non-contributing structure in the historic district. Fortunately, the Landmark Commission and the City Council agreed that the footprint should be within the historic district, precisely so that if there were ever future revisions or remodeling of the building, the Landmark Commission would have a say. And that's where we are 24 years later. I'm sorry there are speakers who don't believe there was adequate neighborhood input. I'm not on the board of Alamo Placida. I'm not on the board of any neighborhood organization, but I learned that this particular project was afoot. And I went to the city's website, found information about it, and I contacted both Neighbors for Greater Capitol Hill and the Alamo Placida Neighbors Association. And they each had a board meeting at which the applicant was present and laid out a very full presentation. So I think it's a two-way street, and that those in the neighborhood who have an interest need to reach out. It's not always possible for a small neighborhood organization to send out notices and to hold a full neighborhood meeting. Most neighborhood groups have an annual meeting, and those are not always timed to coincide with issues that the city is addressing like this one. I am
sir-
the one yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, your 2 minutes is up.
Thank you. Let me just say that you have my written comments on the merits of
Yes.
this project. Thank you.
We sure did. Thank you very much. All right, Taylor, do we have anybody else? Any other hands raised? Doesn't look like it. Okay, all right, commissioners, did you have any other questions for staff before we go into deliberation?
I do have some clarification
Sure.
points. So Becca and I have met with the Arapahoe High School students, and I did let them know that this project was moving forward at this time, but we don't have an official owner opposed what this designation would be before our office at this point. Because this design review project is in at this time, we do have to follow our ordinance requirements to review the project as submitted and treat this building as non-contributing as is currently designated per the landmark ordinances. We have talked extensively with the property owners and the applicants what it would mean if a designation application were to be submitted on this property, and vice versa with the students who have indicated to us that they're interested in designating this property. It's, a complicated one because there is a lot of interest in this building. A lot of the comments that we've received have related to the building use, which we do not have purview over. Even if this was an individual landmark, we don't have purview over the individual building use. So at this time, as this building is considered non-contributing, that's how we moved forward with the design review of the alterations.
I had one question for you. There was mention of city council. Is that a misnomer? Was it actually landmark staff? Or I was confused about this.
I know I've spoken to the city council representative for this building and what, but we haven't spoken to city council. I don't know if Julia made comments to city council, so I know she made comments here to the Landmark
Yeah.
Preservation Commission.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
not 100% certain.
All right, anything else for staff before we begin deliberation? Okay, great, then commissioners, let us do go into deliberation. Remember our purview, we've been given direction, this is a non-contributing building. Have no purview over the use of said building. So what are your thoughts? Don't everybody talk at once.
I'm happy to just start off and say that, I support staff relative to their view of this submission. And therefore I would support the project.
George,
I'm gonna miss the Esquire as a theater.
not our purview.
I know, many nice memories. So I am really impressed by the use of light and glass spaces where there were blank walls. And the maintenance of the Esquire marquee, I think, which is, it just screams that this is where I am and it's staying. I have to support staff. I think it's a really good reuse and future development of an area that is, we agreed, is surrounded by historic districts. So I have to support staff on this one.
George, thank you.
Yeah, I also agree with supporting staff on this, and I think, I guess to address the applicants, I think this is a really fantastic way of preserving this building that, being non-contributing. I feel like this is as quality a design approach as would be applied if it were a contributing building, so I appreciate that. And yeah, I think that it's unfortunate as far as the communication issues that happened. But I think this is a similar outcome to what would happen if this were probably contributing building to my mind, so.
I think that's a good point. Erica, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, I agree with what all has been said. I also more in the fact of losing the theater, but again, that's not what we are here to consider. And, I think the proportions of the windows and on the blank walls, they keep that overall appearance really that the theater had. So I think it's a very successful project for what we have purview over. And the small kind of questions that staff raised, those are pretty typical that we see on applications that, none of them kind of rise to a need to table or continue the application in my mind. Again, they're pretty standard, just small questions that need clarification moving forward. So I support the staff's suggested motion as well.
Erica, thank you.
I would just like to add that I think it's commendable of the owner to redevelop and have an adaptive reuse of the theater rather than looking at selling it and redeveloping the site as some infill that might not have the character of this building and kind of reflecting that continued history that I think, it's nice that it's
I think that's a
adaptively
really good point.
reused.
Yep, it's a really good point, Erin. And Gary, did you like to?
Yeah, okay.
You're good? All right, do I hear a motion from the floor? George?
Madam Chair, I move to approve with conditions, application 2023 COA 518 for the alterations and addition at 590 Downing Street as per design guidelines 4.4, 4.5, 4.7, 4.8, 4.22, 4.24, 4.25, 5.10, 5.13, 5.17, and 5.18. Character defining features for the Alamo Placida Historic District, presented testimony, submitted documentation and information provided in the staff report with the following conditions. Confirm the existing brick on the south elevation is a red brick to verify the addition that the brick is a compatible color for the guideline 4.7. Use a standard size brick for the entire project for guideline 4.7A, and clearly clarify the light fixture locations and insured locations to comply with guideline 5.17 and 5.18.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Erica has seconded it. All in favor, aye?
Friendly amendment
Oh, Larry.
on point 2, or on condition 2, can we change standard size brick to full depth brick, please?
Do you?
Fine, yes. Mhm.
Erica, I do. Okay, the friendly amendment has been proposed and accepted by both George and Erica. We'll continue with the vote then. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, the application has been passed as presented.
Thank you.
All right, our next our next design review project is 2023 COA 545 at 3616 Decatur Street in the Potter Highlands. And Jesse is our staff person. Hi, Jesse. Hey.
Dates in the Esquire.
So on November 21st, 2023, the commission reviewed and approved mass forming contacts for 3616 Decatur Street. This is for a 2-story residential structure in the Potter Highlands Historic District. That was approved, as I said, and now the applicant is bringing before you all phase 2 design details for your review today. So the new structure will be 22 feet by 8 inches wide or 22 feet 8 inches wide by 43 feet half inch in depth, and will be 25 feet in height. The building is designed to be a simple rectangular form with symmetrically stacked windows and doors. That can be found, they can be found throughout this context. The building features a raised foundation, a flat roof with a parapet, and cornice detailing. So staff is recommending conditional approval of this application, citing guidelines 4.7 and 4.8, and I'll use the next few slides to go over our reasoning for the conditions, as well as going through that proposed project, highlighting different aspects of the proposal. And here you can see on the left, or excuse me, on the right-hand side of the screen, outlined by the red box, that is the proposed site. And then on the left is a proposed rendering of the building. Thank you. Just really quickly, these are the proposed elevations. You can look at those in your application materials if you'd like, and I'm going to zoom in on specific parts of the building. Okay, so talking about materials, so pictured here are a few of those proposed materials for the building. The building's roof will be clad in TPO membrane roofing, and will be clad, and the walls will be clad in a painted cedar straight edge shingle with a 6-inch reveal, as indicated by the blue box on the left. The building's chimney will be clad in general shale brick in the color smokestack, as indicated by the green box on the right-hand side. This brick only, whenever I looked it up, only comes in a thin brick veneer and has a tumbled edge finish. The Landmark Preservation Commission has not allowed the use of tumbled edge brick, and it is not supported by our guidelines. Neither is thin brick, and that's per guideline 4.7. So we're encouraging the applicant to select a new standard brick or full brick veneer without a tumbled edge or distressed base on that brick. And then moving on to the cornice, porch soffit, banding detail, and window trim will be painted steel materials, and the details for that cornice and banding detail can be seen at the top of the screen and to the right of the elevation drawing. And there are additional details in the application materials if you would like to examine those. So pictured on the left side of the slide are the proposed doors, and on the right side of the slide are the proposed windows. The front entry door and north entry doors will be trestle wood half-light doors. They will have a divided light pattern, and that is supposed to be a true divided light grill or muntin on that door. The south patio doors will be Sierra Pacific aluminum clad full light bi-parting sliding doors. So in the past, the commission has not allowed the use of sliding door operations, as they do not show up in the historic context. And staff is encouraging that they select a door operation that better fits that context, especially since this will be on a side elevation, but we'll have quite a bit of buffer room space between this and the house next door, and we'll have visibility from public vantage points. So staff is encouraging the use of swing or bifold doors here rather than sliding doors. And we are citing, for that reason, we're citing guideline 4.8 specifically. That. The applicant is also proposing for the back doors Sierra Pacific aluminum clad full light door. The windows will be Sierra Pacific aluminum clad wood windows with double hung awning and casement operation types. And then the windows on the south side of the building will have awnings, which are kind of atypical for this district. However, they're very minimal in profile, so staff felt that we could be supportive of them, and they're only used on that south side of the building, so that for reducing for energy efficiency rather. So minimal profile, staff was not too worried about that, those proposed awnings. And then finally, all the windows will be inset into the wall. Our required minimum of 2 inches. I believe it's actually more, I think it's 3 inches. And that should show up in those section details provided on the lower right-hand side of the screen. So the dwelling's entry porch will have a flat roof, and that will be clad in TPO membrane roofing. The porch soffit will be painted steel with a 6x6 Douglas fir beam as indicated by the purple box. And then the porch roof itself will be supported by square 6x6 Douglas fir posts. And the porch floor will be clad in red flagstone as indicated by the orange box. On the right side of the slide, you'll see section details of the proposed porch canopies, of the proposed porches and canopies that will be on the sides in front of this building. And then we'll move on to the garage. So the garage will be a flat 1-story roof with a 1-story flat roof structure that will measure 13 feet 3 inches by 30 feet 4 inches and will be 14 feet in height. The garage roof will be clad in TPO membrane roofing. The walls will be clad in that painted cedar straight edge shingle with a 6-inch reveal. And that's indicated by that blue box on the lower left-hand side of the screen. And then the garage cornice will be painted steel, so pulling in those details from the primary structure and using them in a simplified way on this secondary structure, helping to create a cohesive design on this site. The garage overhead door will be a Thermacore steel panel door with lights, and that's indicated by the green box. And then the service door will be a Sierra Pacific aluminum clad wood full light door, and that's outlined by the orange box. And then finally, you'll see the Sierra Pacific aluminum clad wood windows to be inset 2 inches as indicated by the red box on the screen. The house and garage will have simple lighting. They'll have a cylindrical downlight and a gooseneck downlight, as well as recessed can lights. I've indicated where some of those are with the blue arrows on the screen. You can find additional locations for and notes for these light fixtures in the materials and on the elevations pages. As far as site work goes for this, this project, the site will have a 4-foot horizontal rear yard cedar fence. The site will also have red flagstone stepping stones and true stone pervious driveway pavers. I've pointed those out with red arrows where all these materials will go. There will also be several egress windows on this site. And they will be using dry stacked red flagstone so that they're pulling in that porch material and stepping stone paper material found on this site. And then finally, here are some renderings of the proposed infill structure. Landmark is again recommending conditional approval of this application with the conditions that the applicant select a non-tumbled edge standard brick veneer for the chimney, and that the south sliding doors be either swinging doors or bifold doors. And we're citing guidelines 4.7, 4.8 character defining features for Potter Highlands. Historic District presented testimony and submitted documentation.
Okay, Jesse, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff? No? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Are you the applicant? Okay, awesome. So come up and have a seat and start your 10 minutes with the name and address. Please.
Hello, my name is Cameron Kruger, 30 South Utica Street, Suite 0219, Denver. I think Jessica did a great job presenting this. We're more than happy to change that brick material. I think you can see in our details that that was meant to be a true big brick. One of the big challenges on this project for me as the designer was implementing a lot of low carbon and energy efficiency in a historic district. Hence the wood siding, and the owner initially wanted to resource a very clean reclaimed brick. He is a contractor and thinks he can actually find a true reclaimed brick that'll be clean, and eventually we would want to update that, but we're happy to update that brick to be something without tumbled edges and a true brick. And then for the sliding doors, part of that was just due to the small scale of this building, just to get more space inside. Again, I've talked with the owners and we're more than happy to turn those into a French door situation to get rid of the sliding aspect. So those two kind of conditions we're more than happy to take care of. And then, yeah, I think just on that, just a big part of this is kind of keeping with the historic character while implementing all these energy features in there, like the small canopies on the south side only. They're sized just enough to kind of shade the full windows during the peak of the summer. Some other features include kind of a thickened header and sill at the windows to kind of emulate that standard either like flagstone sills or kind of a thickened brick header that you'd see on a more typical historic building. And then a real fun thing we're doing here is in the parapet detail, is this kind of light play to kind of play with the ideas of dentals that would be present in a traditional brick building while not overloading this thing and still giving it a very light appearance and like emphasizing that verticality there. So I think really besides that, Jessica did a good job presenting it, and yeah.
Great, thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Cameron? Okay, great, thank you very much. All right, there's no one here to give a public comment in person, and do we have anybody in virtual, joining us virtually that would like to make a comment? I don't see any hands raised. No. All right, Jesse, did you have any other comments? Okay, great. All right, commissioners, then let us go into deliberation. What are your thoughts?
I think this is a great project, and I agree with staff's assessment and those two simple conditions, and I support that.
Yeah, it sounds like they're amenable. Any other comments?
I have a friendly comment to applicant that is not exactly our purview, but if your client is looking at low carbon construction on the south side, I would look at shade trees that would shade the structure in the summer to lessen need for air conditioning.
There's a giant tree on the south of that building that's already there next.
That's great.
Yeah.
But they might want to consider it may not survive construction,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's actually in the
in
neighboring
neighbors,
property. So
just if they're looking at low carbon, there's
Other ways to do it.
landscape
Yeah.
solutions.
And this is why we have a landscape person on our commission. Thanks, Erin.
Otherwise, I agree with Erica that this is an excellent application. And I'm excited that someone wanted to do low carbon, sustainable construction this day and age.
Any other comments? All right, I heard motion. No, Larry,
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment about the sliding
please do.
door thing that.
Oh, the
it's-
sliding door,
I
yeah.
don't even, I'm not necessarily opposed to this implementation because it's a kind of like center
Yeah.
splitting out. But I think that in keeping with the, you know, consistency of the guidelines, I'll support the staff recommendation.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, personally, yeah, but because of the guidelines. All right, anything else? All right, do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve with conditions application number 2023-COA-545 for the new construction phase 2 design details at 3616 Decatur Street as per design guidelines 4.7, 4.8, character defining features for the Potter Highlands Historic District. Presented testimony, submitted documentation and information provided in the staff report with the following conditions. That the applicant select a non-tumbled edge standard brick veneer for the chimney, and that the south sliding doors be swing or bifold doors.
Eric, thank you. Do I hear a second? George has seconded it. All in
Can I
favor?
get a
Oh,
pause?
Brittany.
So Jesse only referenced 2 guidelines in the staff report, and those guidelines relate to materials and windows, which this is the phase 2, but I don't know if there are other guidelines you want to reference,
for instance,
that are in the referenced in the staff report. For instance, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, 4.5.
Sure, I can make a friendly amendment to reference guidelines. I mean, since we, well, anyways.
And then
4.1 through 4.5, 6. And then 4.15 through 4.19, and then
4.20 is materials for garages, not in the staff report, but
okay, 4.20. And then 5.8.
Okay, do you accept your own friendly amendment?
I do.
All right, and you seconded it, do you accept, okay, so the friendly amendments have been accepted. Are we okay? Okay, all right, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, then it has been approved unanimously. Yeah, good luck, have fun. We didn't think this stuff was fun, we wouldn't be project management. It's, okay, so, the next and last design review project is 2024-COA-136, and it's 3530 East 7th Avenue Parkway at East 7th Avenue District, and our staff person is Crystal.
So today we're looking at 3530 East 7th Avenue Parkway, which is in the East 7th Avenue Historic District. Its construction date is 1941, which is during the period of significance for the district, which is prior to and including 1943. The period of significance was added in 2007. Though the house dates to 1941, it was found to have a full 2-story addition added in 1980 by a previous owner without permits, which is information that was provided by the applicants with photos of those 1980 plans that can be found in your application packet. And then here you can see photos of the existing structure at the bottom, as well as the Sanborn map the applicant provided. The year is unclear from the application on the one the applicant provided. It is at the top right corner and has a red outline around it. Staff did verify, however, that the 1925 corrected to 1956 Sanborn map also shows that this was originally a 1-story structure, and that Sanborn map can be seen at the end of the staff report. So additionally, I have included a little snippet here from the building inventory from the designation application that lists the construction date as 1941, and that permits were not found for this property, and at that time it was considered an eclectic style, and the time of the designation application was 1993. So the applicant is requesting that this structure be considered non-contributing to the district. So per section 30-11 of the Landmark Preservation Ordinance states that in determining whether a structure is contributing or non-contributing to the district for preservation, the commission shall determine whether the structure retains integrity and evaluate the following criteria. A, whether the structure is listed as contributing or non-contributing in the designation ordinance or in the designation application. B, whether the structure was constructed within the period of significance for the district for preservation. And C, whether the structure contributes to the significance for which the district was designated. So looking at the 7 qualities that define integrity, those are location, setting, design, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. Staff did find that this address, 3530 East 7th Avenue, did not retain integrity in design, materials, workmanship, and feeling, which is 4 of the 7 qualities that define integrity. So therefore, staff was supportive of the house being considered non-contributing to the district for this structure. So if the structure is found to be non-contributing, the applicant is proposing a new 2-story addition at the front of the existing structure, as well as minor alterations to the existing site with this application. Here on the left, you can see the existing site plan. And at the right, the proposed site plan for the property outlined in purple. The existing structure has an open balcony at the 2nd floor above the main entrance, which has been leaking and has had structural and drainage issues. I realized this morning that I did not finish my staff summary and my staff report, so I apologize for that. However, the applicant's very detailed letter in the application details the issues with the existing balcony area and main entrance. So here you can see the demo that is proposed for the roof, the 2nd floor and 1st floor, which is mainly the primary entrance to the structure and is minimal at the roof. You can see on the left it's 78 square feet, and then you can see where they're proposing it at the 2nd and 1st level. So here you can see the proposed changes to the east elevation, looking at the structure from Monroe Street. At the bottom left is the proposed demolition of the existing balcony and some of the front porch elements, which are likely not original to the structure. You can also see the existing front door faces Monroe Street here, though the primary walkway to the structure is from East 7th Avenue Parkway. And then on the right, you can see the existing configuration with the new proposed addition outlined in purple at the top right. Up there, so it's still at the top right. The new 2-story front addition to the structure follows setback patterns and is set back from the street on the front facade. The new addition will reorient the building entrance to face East 7th Avenue Parkway, which is likely how it was originally oriented, as the original walkway to the primary entrance is oriented to the parkway. Additionally, a majority of the primary building entrances on East 7th Avenue Parkway are oriented to the parkway and not the side streets on corner lots like this one. So it does appear to follow design guideline 4.2. The new 2-story addition features typical features found on the existing structure and mimics the existing Tudor style of the 2nd floor. The new addition reorients that existing entry and porch towards the parkway instead of the side street. And scaling elements like the half timbering and window bay match what currently exists on the structure, meeting design guideline 4.3. So here you can see the proposed changes to the north elevation, looking at the structure from East 7th Avenue Parkway. At the bottom left is the proposed demolition, again, of that existing balcony area and some of the front porch elements again. Design guideline 4.4 states to design the height, mass, and form of a new building to be compatible with the historic context. The height, mass, and scale of the new addition matches and blends in with the existing structure, but does make minor changes to differentiate it from the original structure, like insetting this addition from the existing structure, adding a half-circle transom window above the new primary entrance, lowering the brick height at the first floor and slightly varying the timbering on the new addition. Design guideline 4.5 states to design a new building to be recognized as current construction while respecting key features of the historic district and surrounding context block. The new addition matches the existing structure's eclectic Tudor style, does not detract from the character of the existing structure or the district, and blends in, though will be minimally changed to differentiate the addition from the existing structure. And design guideline 4.6 says to use a roof form that is compatible with the context. And the roof form here will match and blend in with the existing structure in terms of pitch, orientation, and complexity. And then design guideline 4.7 states to use materials that appear similar in scale, color, texture, finish to those seen historically in the district. The structure uses minimal brick at the first floor with a brown color that will be slightly different from the existing brick color at the first floor. The addition will then match the existing stucco and wood half timbering at the second floor. Stucco will be at least 7/8 inch thick and will match the existing second floor finish. And the half timbering will also be wood to match the existing. Design guideline 4.8 states to design windows, doors, and other features to be compatible with the existing context and structures. So all the new windows will be aluminum clad wood, casement and fixed windows to match the style on the existing house. Staff did notice a discrepancy though on sheet A11. It has window WO number 4 called out as both a casement and a left sliding window. So staff did mention that that needs to be corrected in the final plans to a casement window, and staff has added a condition for that. So finally, here's some isometrics showing the existing proposed configuration on the left at the top, and then the new configuration of the two-story addition on the right at the top. And then below are just some isometrics of how the addition would look from different angles. So the existing primary structure has been heavily altered by adding that second floor in 1980 without permits after the period of significance for the district. And additionally, this proposed new two-story addition does meet design guidelines for non-contributing structures, 4.2 through 4.8. Therefore, staff is recommending approval with the following conditions. One, that the applicant add dimensions to the plans and elevations for the addition. And 2, correct window WO-4, the left sliding window, and change that to a casement or a fixed window on page A11 of the application packet.
Okay, Crystal, commissioners, any questions? Erica does.
Just a brief one. I plan to ask the applicant this as well, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't something that you knew of, but it looks like the proposed renderings, both on the isometrics and the elevations, are mistakenly showing the windows on the north brick bay as being moved up to right below the second story. And again, that's kind of like replicated on all the elevations, et cetera. So I'm assuming that's a mistake, but just wanted to make sure that.
That does look like a mistake.
Yeah, okay.
I would ask them to clarify, but I don't think they intended to.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for staff? Crystal, thank you very much. All right, do we have our applicant with us? Obviously virtually. We don't have anybody else here. Okay, great. All right, there we go. Hi.
Hello there.
Hi. You will have 10 minutes between the two of you to give your presentation. And when you begin, please begin with your name and address for our records, please.
Hey. Well, hello. My name is Mari Koning. I'm a senior architectural designer at Classic Homeworks. We're at 3430 East 12th Avenue. That's Denver 80206. I'm here with Chantal Peretz here in Zoom land. She is Manager of Design and Development. And we've been with the homeowners, Ellen Canfield and Marty Coyle, from the beginning since December 2022. This is an important project to them and also to us at Classic Homeworks. So thank you for giving us the time. And thank you, Crystal, for presenting that so thoroughly and really guiding us through this process. You've made it a good learning experience. So I don't know, Crystal, do you have our presentation or PDF?
Oh, sorry, yes.
Nope,
I
yeah,
have
give us
that.
And really, Crystal hit on everything pretty well, so I'll just reiterate some of the bits. You understand the scope of work. It's a pretty modest two-story addition, about 147 square feet. And you know, I think I just want to walk you through our process really, and we always start with research here. So can you go to the next? As Crystal mentioned, the home was built in 1941, and we found via Sanborn maps and library research that it was single-story brick and outside of Landmark's period of historical significance as defined as on or before 1943. So that key piece of information really helped guide us, you know, with the design moving forward. And then along with that, we were provided with those unpermitted construction plans from 1980, again, outside of that historical significance time period. And we believe, you know, these plans that you see in the bottom there are what produced the eclectic Tudor styles, stucco, half timbering details, those big gable roof lines that we see today. So following our technical research, move on to the next. We really just took to heart the owner's desire to enhance the home in the greater parkway, while also maintaining a traditional approach to an addition. Again, it's fairly modest in its size and footprint, but our central design goals were to create usable square footage at the entry and then the second level above, in place of that structurally unsound balcony that was just in a pinch point of the roofs and, you know, water damage, debris collection, all of that. So we're bettering the space for the homeowner. And then our goal, of course, was to differentiate yet maintain a kind of architectural language here with the eclectic Tudor style of the home. So some of the departure elements from the original home included the entry door orientation from the north and then the inset at the east. It's about 9 inches offset from the existing home. And then that brick wainscot element that's lowered that Crystal mentioned, a darker brick variation. So we're not proposing to match the exact kind of blonde brick that the home has currently, but a darker color. And then wrapping a soldier course kind of bricking around the entry door and fixed kind of modern arch transom above the entry. And then the elements that match the existing home, you know, we've got those nice roof pitches, kind of twins right there in front. The bay window, the stucco coast court, I can't say that, coarse coat color and texture. And then the half timbering details, of course, as well. So I want to circle back then, kind of the final slide here, just on the history, how we came to know what we know here today. And we've just been really lucky to have enough information, abundant access to history of the home from our clients, moving into the home. It was a very unfinished kind of, hitting on the point that it was an unpermitted project. There were a lot of kind of loose ends. And then, of course, hearing from neighbors revealing that it was unpermitted as well. And then those valuable plans that the previous owners provided to our owners really helped us work through this process. And I think all of this to say, we've done the legwork and we believe our design aligns with our owners' needs, East 7th Avenue neighborhood aesthetic. And then we're also satisfying landmarks guidelines. And one last thing, I do just want to briefly mention that we accept the design recommendations, conditions put forth by Committee 1, and will gladly clarify the dimensions on the plans and then update that window W04 to a casement style. So thank you for pointing that out. And then really, just thank you on behalf of our team and the owners. You know, they've been there for 3 decades and this is exciting. So thank you for your time. And I think the first question was about those windows there at the front, and that is good catch, good on you. We are not touching those windows. They should be at a lower elevation. That was a program error, I will say.
Chantal, did you want to make any comments?
Not to make any comments in our presentation here, but I'm here to help answer any questions that the committee has for us.
Great, okay, terrific. Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicants? Did they answer?
Yeah, thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, great. No questions here. So thank you very much. And now we'll go on to the public comments. Is there anybody with their hand raised? Anybody joining us? Emails? No. Okay, doesn't look like we have any comments from the public. So let us, were there any redirects or any comments? Okay, great. All right, commissioners, let's go into deliberation. The first thing we have to figure out, of course, is this contributing or not contributing.
How do you look at
Gary?
it?
Why, of course.
Well, you know, I actually did drive by to confirm that the second story really did look like it was constructed during the period of significance. And I think furthermore, buildings that were Tudor style that were built during the period of significance would have been better in terms of their design character. So I don't question the fact that this was altered outside of the period of significance. I'm a little bit, I wonder how this large of an addition could have happened in this neighborhood with everybody watching without a permit.
Yeah, yeah, I was.
But that's beside the point. So I agree with staff's recommendation to consider the building non-contributing and also their recommendation to approve with conditions.
Okay, all right. Any other thoughts on the non-contributing and non-contributing? Yeah, where's Mrs. Kravitz when you need her, right?
I used to live in the neighborhood a long time ago, and I can't imagine that something like this could happen without it somebody calling somebody to put a stop to it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Although it is what it is. Okay, so then moving on. You support staff's recommendations, Gary. Okay, any other thoughts, commissioners?
Staff is, those pieces also, yeah.
I see a lot of nodding heads. Okay, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the request to determine the primary structure at 3530 East 7th Avenue as non-contributing to the East 7th Avenue Historic District and approve with conditions application number 2024-COA-136 for the 2-story addition at 3530 East 7th Avenue as per design guidelines 4.2 through 4.8. Presented testimony, submitted documentation and information provided in the staff report with the following conditions. 1, to add dimensions to the plans and elevations for the addition. And 2, to correct window W04 left sliding window and change to a casement or fixed window on page A11. And 3, to correct the error in representing the existing windows on the north facade.
Gary, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Larry has seconded. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, it has been approved as presented. The application is approved unanimously. All right, then we are done with design review projects for this particular meeting. Do we have any business items? Any discussion items?
I wonder, what's the difference between a nodding head and a bobblehead?
Oh, from my point of view, there's a big difference.
So we are hosting our in-person ADU meeting on the design guidelines tomorrow from 6:30 to 7:30 at Studio Lofts, which is on the 4th floor of the Ellie Calkins Opera House. Myself, Crystal, Andrew, and Amy will all be there. If you attended our virtual meeting, it's not going to be exactly the same content. So we are doing something slightly different, but not totally like off the rails different in terms of that meeting. So be happy to have you or any of the public who is not here today attend.
Okay, great. That's it?
That's it for me.
All right, thank you. Then hearing no other business, it's 2:46. I am adjourning the meeting. And Erica, we've made it before 3 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, in plenty of time.
Bravo.